Well, these rockers that we disassembled last week that we saw were also bent give us an indication of maybe how this coach was wrecked. Well, these rockers, I think they kind of get their name because they cause these coach bodies to rock, kind of like a ship. Underneath these rockers on the undercarriage are a series of leather straps called the thorough braces that these rockers will set down onto, and so when this coach is being driven, it actually will rock forwards and backwards and a little bit side to side, but predominantly forward and backward. Well, I need to run all these irons through the sandblaster, and because of the wreck, and they weren't repaired back in the day when all this other repair work was done, I'm going to have to probably tweak these irons and get them straightened out also. Well, I have all the rocker irons run through the sandblaster, so I've got all the rust and the old paint off. Now these are going to sit, of course, inverted like so when they're actually fastened to the framework of this body. But as I was sandblasting, I noticed a few things that are distinctly different from side to side. One is in these tire rub irons. Fundamentally they're the same, but you can see the difference in how they were finished off. Why they are different from side to side, I'm not sure. You can just see there's some difference in the finish work. Functional, but different from right side to left side. And then these U-shaped irons, this pair, they're up on the front. They saddle the rockers, and the thorough brace leather will go through this portion with a bolt that keep the whole coach intact with the thorough braces. But the front ones are pretty uniform. They're not exactly the same, but you know, both have nice rounded edges. One's a little shorter than the other, but functional, they're both pretty close to the same. But if we go back to the back side and look at these same two irons that are going to saddle the thorough brace, you can see that they both have been worn off. Most likely they were drugged somehow. So I'm guessing maybe this came off the thorough braces, but you can see the scuff marks where these were drugged somewhere in the wreck, I'm assuming. Other than that, they were initially finished off the same. Just another sign of the effects of the wreck. So then again, as I have these main irons laid out on this flat plane of the body, you can see how this back portion is out of alignment because of the bend here as opposed to the front. We're pretty close. It's not exact. I can adjust that a little bit. But the main effect of the wreck was on this end of the rocker irons. Then again on the right side rear, this one is what took the bulk of the abuse from the wreck. This also is quite a bit out of alignment. So when I was finished sandblasting these, I actually put these side by side, and again notice some similarities and differences as they are from the right to the left. So starting in front, when I line up the bends here, both sides have a 3-hole pattern. They are just not the same. This one here that would be the left side, this center hole is a fair bit out of alignment. Functional, not a big deal, but why not make them the same? And then headed back to the main bolts that hold the framework that goes to the crossbars. You know, those two holes, they're pretty close. They're maybe within 1/4 of an inch. The holes right in front of those that just bolt the woodwork to the iron, this front one is probably a good 3/4 of an inch off. And then going back, we have another set of bolts that just bolt the woodwork to the iron. Those two are 1/2 to 5/8 of an off from side to side. These two holes here are the center bolts that actually bolt the leather thorough brace to these rockers. These are probably 1/2 inch off from one side to the other. The next set of bolts back, wow, they're quite a bit off. That's got to be 1.25 inches. And then back to the two bolts that hold the framework together. They're pretty close. They're less than 1/4 of an inch off. They're pretty close. And then the next set of bolts that again just bolt the wood to the steel. And I'll get these a little closer here. They're 3/4 strong, maybe 7/8 of an inch off from right side to left side. And then to the very back portion, these have a little variation in the bend here, but you can see these two holes are actually pretty close to each other. And when I initially inspected this, I noticed that one side had 3 bolts and the other side only had 2, which was kind of a puzzle. But possibly it's just because of the difference in length here. Possibly in this wreck, did they trim this off and that just got rid of the 3rd hole? We don't know that answer, but there is a little more uniformity than I expected. If I was to trim this off to make the 2 of them the same, which is kind of tempting, I'm not sure if I'll do that yet, then the bolt patterns would be the same. So for me, in my observation, this is sure functional coach. The quality of craftsmanship, in my estimation, isn't the highest. Maybe because I am more wired to have things symmetrical. So these are some of the things that showed up as I was doing the sandblasting. So next I need to readjust the back of these 2 irons so that they do set flat in their correct plane. And then I can go ahead and begin the wood assembly that actually takes all the flex out of these irons, gives some rigidity to these rockers. So this is the wood that goes inside the metal rockers. Now this one is the right side. And on the back here, there's a difference between these two. You can see the one on the right has these 2 little bolts on them. Well, there's no hole in the iron that shows that these went through the iron. In fact, they aren't long enough for that. So I'm speculating what happened, since the right rear of this coach seems to indicate that it took the brunt of the blow. This wood that was in the rocker here also evidently split, and these 2 bolts were put in to reinforce this brake and therefore salvage this right wood. This left one, it wasn't bad enough. I don't know if this split was there, but it wasn't bad enough that they repaired it. So again, another confirmation that the right rear side of this coach in the back end took the brunt of that blow. So the goal now is to duplicate this wood. It would have set in about like so. And since these holes are different from right to left, pretty easy to match up which wood goes with which iron. Now the normal thinking would be that since these are curved that they have to be steamed and bent. But oftentimes pieces like this are not. If we place them on this board like this, this is a 3-inch, what we call 12/4, and we're going to end up with maybe 1 3/4 through its thickness throughout the body of this piece of wood. But if we cut it out on this board like this, this is the flat grain, and this it would be the edge grain. So if we look at the end of this piece of wood here, we can see that this also has a vertical grain. So we're taking a flat grain and turning it into a vertical grain, where we are taking it on the flat board as it was sawn out of the tree like so, but now we have a vertical grain through this portion of wood. And if we look at this other rocker here, down closer to this area, we can see where there was actually a knot right here, and you can see the variation in the grain pattern as it came around this knot. So there was a tree branch that grew out of the tree here. But again, this is the flat grain, and this becomes the edge grain through this piece of wood also. And it's possible that this crooked grain here is maybe what contributed to this break. It was the wreck for sure. And again, you can see the pattern here. So these seem to measure out at about 50 inches. I'm going to cut this timber off here at about 51, plane it down to 2.5 inch thick to match the iron, and then we'll contour these two pieces to fit the irons. So this board was infested with that ash beetle borer. You can see some of these track marks in here. They're actually a real fine powder. The upper portion of this board is better. I'm going to take an air hose and blow that out, and it'll really accent just where this little beetle has been traveling. Well, this little critter generally is out on the outside parameter of the tree. You can see that this is the outside of the tree by the growth rings. This is the heart of the tree. So this is the outside corner. Must have been close to the bark where this little beetle was living. I'm going to put these two pieces of wood on here with the curve like so. And I think if I do this correctly, we have the beetle that has been here and the beetle that's been down here. But if I kind of hug these together, I think I can cut this out and get these cut out of the good portion of this plank. I think we'll be good. I have a pretty decent fit here. I'm gonna have to do some fine tuning. But it looks like on this end, like we have kind of a twist in my iron. This is gonna be the right rear that I tweaked on because these ends were out of alignment with each other. Well, evidently the twist is about right here. This is where the main kind of a V-shaped support to the floorboard is. You can see it kind of pull away right here. We're closer on the bottom, and you can see it here on the end. You can see we're kind of tapered away, touching on the bottom, but away at the top because this iron here is twisted. So I need to go back to my post vise, my leg vise, and straighten this out, being plain, which is going to throw off the end. So this is going to be out of a line this way, but it looks like it has a twist here and then it has a twist here. So I need to bend this over, and then right here I'm going to have to bend it back if I can get that accomplished. This is about 3/8 by 2.5, so I'll see if I can do it cold. If I can't, I'll stick it in the forge. Yeah, I got over ambitious and went too far. I'll just tweak it back. That's a little better. I can live with that. Well, the next step is just to take the high spots off of the wood and get it to settle down into this rocker iron so I have good contact. And I just take my shoe and rasp, as you all probably pretty well know, and kind of work that in. It's just a matter of time, and we'll get her down in there where she'll fit. After that, I'll go ahead and saw the curve in and take my rasp again and shape all the contours so that these new ones match the old rocker woods. So I think that's next on our agenda. I'll probably get into that next week. We've got to do a little tweaking on this iron yet, and I think I'll do that after I have this stabilized. That's where I'm thinking. Anyway, appreciate you following along. Thanks for watching.